Good morning to listeners of DBS Radio, and welcome to another episode of the Ministry of Environment's radio program, Talking Environment or Responsibility. I am the host of the program. My name is Liam Sebastian. I'm the project officer in the ministry. I would like to use the opportunity to say good morning to the Honorable Minister, Honorable Kozia Frederick, the Parliamentary Secretary, Honorable Darren Lloyd, the Permanent Secretary, Miss Lisa Valmore, to all heads of department, members of staff, particularly those at the office. I'm saying good morning to you guys. Also to the regular listeners of this program, obviously my mother, Mrs. Corbett, good morning to you. And to all the listeners here this morning. This morning we have a very interesting topic. Don't forget, to those persons willing to call in can do so on 1-800-327-448-3284, on the overseas line 305-432-9744. These numbers again, 1-800-327-448-3284, on the overseas line 305-432-9744. So, as I said, we have a very interesting topic this morning. We're discussing the 2025 hunting season, which has recently opened. So I would just like to use the opportunity to go over to Studio 2 and give my guests the opportunity to welcome themselves. Gentlemen, good morning and welcome to this program.
Yeah, good morning to you, Liam.
Just for the benefit of the listeners, can you introduce yourselves, please?
I'm Charles Watty from Domsetco.
Felix Eugene from Forestry Protection Section.
And I am Josh Barron from Forestry Research Monitoring and Environmental Education.
All right, so gentlemen, thank you very much for joining me. For those persons wanting to join on Facebook, we are live on Facebook, so you can follow the program there. And as we start, gentlemen, we're talking about hunting season 2025, and just as we start off in terms of, we asked the first question, what is the hunting season in Dominica really entails, and why do we have that season?
Okay, really, let me say good day to the public, Dominica, and the rest of the world by extension who is listening. We are here today with my colleagues here to inform you of some of the pertinent things that is happening in terms of forestry-related matters. And one of the matters that we will be looking at this morning is the hunting season, which is very important, which is very critical to us. And as we know, every year we have what we call the hunting season, which opens. Well, with the exception of if there is something wrong, we expect to have that 3-month period. And this year was no exception. And this year it started on the 24th of September, 2025, and hoping that as things progress, it will end on the 31st of December, which will give the public the opportunity to legally hunt our natural resource, which is on the hunting calendar.
Okay, thank you very much for that. You gave the answer to the next question I was going to ask in terms of the start and end date. So just for the benefit of the listeners, Mr. Eugene, can you just repeat that, the start and the end date of the 2025 hunting season, please?
Yes. With respect to the hunting season, it starts it was open on the 24th of September, and we are hoping that it will end on the 31st of December. So within that time frame, which is a 3-month period, the public will have the opportunity to legally obtain a hunting license from the Forestry and Wildlife Division to hunt crabs and some of the other species that we will make mention of.
Okay, all right. And we're talking about these species now. We said crabs. And so let's go into a little bit of detail in terms of which animals are allowed to be legally hunting during this season that you just mentioned.
Yeah. I know as a member of the public that people taste buds around that time can go up from 1 to 100 in terms of choice of wild meat. Some of the things that Dominicans normally consume, but with respect to forestry and wildlife with what is allowed for the hunting period will be restricted on crabs, manicous, and agoutis for this period. So no one should go beyond what is stipulated as far as forestry is concerned and go and hunt any other species. These are the three species that is being permitted from forestry: is the manicou, the agouti, and the crabs. And that will include both freshwater crabs and also black crabs.
Okay. I think I want you to go over that again for me, please, because that is very, very important to the general public in terms of what is allowed and what is not allowed.
Correct. Because the thing is that, as I say, in terms of our appetite for wild meat, sometimes people can just indiscriminately go out there and anything and everything they see, they think that they can hunt them. But for the education or the public, it is restricted to these three species: the agoutis, the manicous, and the crabs. So nobody should hunt any other species that is not part of the hunting season this year.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Eugene, for that clarification. And just to persons who are out there hunting, you just heard what is allowed and what you should not do. So please, as the program goes along, you will get information as to some of the penalties that are linked to some of these offenses that you may commit. And in terms of the other species, though, Mr. Eugene, you said some which are allowed. Why are the other species protected and is not basically hunting season is open? We are free to.
Well, Liam, with respect to conservation is really bears on three principles, and those principles are distribution, threats, and also distribution, threats, and availability. Now let me just qualify that. When you do conservation work, the decision you take most of the time or every time will be based on data collection. There are some animals that are, I would say, under threat. And as a result of that, you need to put mechanisms in place to protect these animals. For instance, you have, let's say, the mountain chicken. At one time, we used to have that mountain chicken as part of our national dish, because in terms of distribution, we had a lot. But there was a threat under which they succumb, and the population was wiped out. So that animal, you cannot put it back as part of the hunting species. Because if there is any little hope of survival, then you are just going to wipe it out. Now you look at in terms of even the agoutis and the manicous that is permissible under the present law. If it reaches to the point where there is a strong sense of extinction, then measures have to be put in place so that they would get a chance to repopulate. So the whole question of conservation work have a lot to do with the amount of animal you have, the threats that they are being faced with, and other things that come against them. The whole question of climate change also is another problem. With respect to the black crabs, for instance, the black crab is permitted to be hunted now, but we see with the kind of climatic condition that we are having, bad hurricanes, you have seas coming in, you have sea walls. Now the black crabs need the shoreline.
We have a caller. Let's see if we can go to the telephone and get the caller. So let me hold you. Caller, good day. Welcome to the program.
Hi, good day. Hi, maybe I didn't want to call the program.
Go ahead, caller. We're talking the hunting season 2025. Okay.
We lost
Apologies
that
for that,
brother.
Mr. Eugene. You can go
Okay,
ahead.
yeah. We have the whole question of, as I said, the climatic condition when we have severe hurricanes, and some of us who remember Maria will remember the amount of devastation that took place, especially along our coastline, and measures were being put in place to protect life and property. And as a result of that, while the measures was being placed was as a means of protection to people, but it was also, in my opinion, a disadvantage to some of our wildlife. And the black crab was one that was severely impacted against, because really they live on land, but when they come to spawn, when they come to lay, they must access the sea. And with these different areas where they would access, you have sea different walls coming in there, and that in itself put a high level of pressure on them. Now, when they come to cross the road, if they cannot access the sea as a result of these barriers, then they are going to be crushed by moving vehicles, and they are going to be hunted by predators, and it makes them quite vulnerable. So all that you have to take into consideration the measures that have been put in place to protect these species. So it will come to a point where we will say, no, we are not going to open it this year, and as a result of these measures that are being placed, that is affecting them negatively, then we'll have to close it probably for 2 days, probably for 3 months, probably for 5 years, whatever the case may be. And similarly to, as we see what is happening in terms of the aquatic life, we see after the hurricane, we had a lot of flooding taking place. We had a lot of dredging, to protect life and property, and that put a high level of pressure on the aquatic life. So sometimes people ask, why can we go and fish? Why can't we catch millets? Why can't we catch crayfish and this kind of thing? As a result of that, we are not able to open it to the public. We have to give the animals a chance to populate so that we can have a safe population for the public.
Well, I'm sure that's a challenge for you guys at the division to monitor the progress and what is allowed and not allowed.
Yeah.
But Josh, I think you had something to chime in there. You can go ahead.
Oh, yes, this mic on? All right. So I just added one thing to add with what Mr. Eugene was saying. We in the current position we are on right now with climate change and all the environmental threats that we face. As Mr. Eugene was saying, that we have a few animals that are allowed to be hunted, but I would like to note that after Hurricane Maria, the hunting season was actually put on pause, as he was saying, for the species to have time to build back. So the hunting season is something that's there, but it's not something that will be allowed, and all the time it may have a few changes depending on the environmental pressures faced, depending on the hunting pressures faced. It may have a few changes and maybe a little flexible. So just to add to what Mr. Eugene was saying.
Okay, now we're talking about legality and all of that. If I am interested in hunting, what is the process do I have to follow to become a legal hunter?
Well, legally, if you would want to hunt, you need to obtain a hunting license at the Forestry and Wildlife Division, at the Portsmouth Sub-Treasury, and also at the Marigot Sub-Treasury, where that can be legally obtained. You need to come with your $25. If you come with more than that, we have change. We'll change it for you. And you have to be 15 years and over to obtain your license. And there's some information you need to give. For instance, your residency, where you're from, where you live. Also, we have other information also that will be required of you, like your height, your weight, and so on. And then the issuing officer will process that license for you, and you will be legally entitled to hunt. And with respect to that, that license that you have been issued with, you'd have to carry it along with you whenever you go out to do your hunting biddings.
Okay, so persons, you just heard it, the process for obtaining a hunting license. What's the fee? I'm not too sure if you mentioned the fee.
$25.
Yes, $25. Oh, yes,
Yep.
and you just said that you have change, so we can come with, the bills and Portsmouth Treasury, Marigot Sub Treasury,
Yes.
as well as the Forestry Division. So, persons, ensure that you have your hunting licenses when going out to hunt, because as we go along, you'll hear some of the penalties that are associated with these offenses if you do not have your hunting license. And I'm not too sure who's going to answer the next question, but I'm sure that there would be laws that guide the hunting season in Dominica, because we're talking about legality and illegality. So,
Yeah.
what are some of the laws associated with hunting in Dominica?
Well, in terms of the laws, we have Chapter 62, which deals with that law, the Forestry and Wildlife Act. That's what I'm looking. The Forestry and Wildlife Act that governs the hunting season, and with respect to that, it will tell you some of the things that you can do and some of the things that you are not permitted to do. For instance, with respect to the hunting season, you must have your license. The law demand that you have a license. The law demand also that you carry that license along with you. And whenever you are being approached by any officer, I'm talking about a forestry and wildlife officer, you'll have to issue that license to him. For instance, you let's say within any jurisdiction, let's say syndicate or anywhere hunting, and the officer for the area or any forest officer is on patrol, and they meet you and they ask you to present your card, you cannot say, well, I leave it at home, because anybody can see that. Anybody can be there hunting, and as they see you, they come up with a story and they tell you, my license is at home. But under the law, you need to have that license with you. So whenever you are being approached, that you are able to show to the officer that your activity is legal.
Okay, well, I'm very happy for that, and I'm sure to the persons who are interested in hunting and those who are hunting should ensure that they listen to the information, so that in the event that they are stopped, that they know the procedure that has to be followed.
Yeah.
Mr. Watty, don't feel left out. We're coming to you shortly, so don't feel left out. Sure you're getting some of the information here. But in terms of the penalties, because as you said, 15 years and over basically allowed to hunt. What happens if I decide, okay, I do not want to pay $25 for a hunting license, or I am not interested in obtaining a hunting license? What happens if you catch me on the road with a bag of crabs or something like that? Tell us about that.
Well, with respect to the penalties, there are severe penalties when it comes for that. With respect to illegal hunting or illegal possession of wildlife, you will have to declare how you get that wildlife and under what permission you get that wildlife. Because by right, you're supposed to have your hunting license in order to hunt. So if you cannot come up with your hunting license, then you will be arrested.
Arrested by whom?
By the officer.
So basically, you're telling the listening public that the officers on the ground have arresting power.
Yes, they do. Yes. They do have the arresting power. And then you will be taken to the magistrate court.
Well, if it's in the day, because even in the night, you have to bring me in the cell.
What's that?
You said taken to the magistrate's court, you have to go to the cell first.
Well, if it's in the night, then you can spend a night out of your home.
Right. So basically, that's important,
Yeah.
To because I'm sure that there are a lot of persons illegally hunting and not sure of some of the repercussions of that action.
Yeah.
So I'm very happy that you're bringing out the information that you can be arrested because it's a crime. It's a criminal offense.
It is.
And if found, then the forestry officers on the ground do not need a police officer.
No.
You can be arrested by these officers.
Correct.
Thank you.
And in addition to that, there are also
hold on, Mr. Eugene. We have a caller. Let's see if we get that caller. Caller, welcome to the program. 2025 hunting season. We're discussing.
Yeah, can you just repeat what you just said a while ago concerning? I think you can be arrested.
Okay. Thank you very much, caller, for that.
Yeah, no. There is another and disadvantage to that. If you are a resident of Dominica, you live on island, and you have been taken to the court. After you have been dealt with, then you can go home, or you can remain in the cell. But if you are leaving the island and you are being stopped with wildlife, you can lose your flight. Because if you are arrested on the port with turtle meat or with manikou, with crab, whatever the case may be, and your flight is at whatever time it is, then when you are detained, you will have to be taken to the magistrate court or to the cell. So that would mean if you are traveling, you will not be able to travel. The vehicle on which probably sometimes the exhibit is found can be seized. The aircraft also can be seized. The boat also can be seized. So that is something that is very, very serious, and one should guard themselves against all those things.
Right. So in terms of guarding themselves, and as the caller just asked us to do, again, to ensure that the point is driven home, let us talk about the offense, the illegal hunting, and some of the repercussions that you can face if found illegal hunting. Because the caller wanted some clarification, so let's just go over that again.
I did not quite understand the question.
Yeah, so the caller wanted to know for us to repeat, the offense, the illegal hunting offense.
Yeah.
If found illegally hunting, you can be arrested by the forestry officers, and so on, and some of the penalties.
Yeah, you can be arrested. Your vehicle can be seized. Whatever tools you have hunting will be seized. Your pot or whatever it was cooking in would be taken away as well, put you at a disadvantage. So that is very serious. And as I say, you will be prevented from traveling if you are being found in possession. So
all right. So talking about traveling, what am I allowed to travel with in terms of the species? Is it something that I can just decide? Okay, last night I went hunting crabs, and I am just traveling today, and I just walk with a bag of crabs on the plane, or is there a process? Tell us a little bit about the import and export of the species.
Well, in terms of the process, you would have to be issued an export permit in order to travel with the exhibit. So you'll have to come to the Forestry and Wildlife Division, and you will get you purchase export permit, which is just $10,
and you have change.
And you will be given the amount that you can travel with and the items that you can travel with. With respect to crabs, you'll be able to go out with 12 crabs. With respect to the other species, you'll be able to go out with 6 of them. 3 manicous and 3 agoutis.
Also,
Josh, go ahead.
Yeah, just to add to that too, you could buy the hunting licenses from the sub-treasuries in Portsmouth, Marigot, and you can buy it from Forestry in Roseau. But the export permit, you must go to the Forestry Division. It has to be signed off by the Director of Forestry. So you cannot get a permit anywhere else outside of Roseau in the Forestry Division. It has to be signed by the Director of Forestry. So just to reiterate that.
Well, thank you very much for that. So export licenses can only be received at the Forestry Division, signed by director. So to persons looking to travel with wildlife, to ensure that you give yourself some time, that your documentation has to be in order, and it can only be received at the Forestry Division. But the hunting licenses, there are various locations that you can do so. Mr. Watty, we're coming over to you, and we're talking a little bit about turtles. And you're here with us today representing, DOMSETCO. So if you can just basically, before you start off, just give the listeners, what does DOMSETCO stands for? What does an acronym mean?
Well, DOMSETCO stands for Dominica Sea Turtle Conservation Initiative.
Okay, and tell us a little bit about the the species of sea turtles that we have in Dominica. Well, before I go to you, we have a caller, so let's go to the telephone. Caller, welcome to the telephone. We're talking the 2025 hunting season.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
One of your panel discussion is something there. I just want him to clarify that. Can I go ahead speaking?
Go ahead.
Me? I want to ask him how can the I thought it's me.
No, go ahead, caller. Go ahead. We're hearing you.
Yeah, I want to ask him how can the airline or the boat be arrested if or at what point they are arresting the airline people or the plane or the boat or whatever you're traveling on, if it is not in the airport, because you must travel in the airport before you go on the plane. So at what point they are arresting you? So,
okay, thank you very much, caller, for that. So, Mr. Eugene, he wanted to know about clarification as to the seizure of, because you made mention of the plane could be seized or the boat could be seized. So, you wanted some more information on that.
Yeah, you see the thing that sometimes people have all kind of techniques to conceal stuff. And if for whatever reason the stuff went through and it is being found on the aircraft, it is being found on the boat, then that boat can be confiscated. That boat will be confiscated. That plane will be stopped. That plane will not be able to go. So if it passed through custom for whatever means or whatever reason, and it was not detected, but it was detected on the boat, on the whatever the case may be, it could be also a backdoor situation where a boat will come from whatever point and take whatever it is they're going out with, and then that boat was intercepted, then that boat is liable to be confiscated.
Okay, thank you very much for that clarification. We're going back to Mr. Watty. In terms of the species of turtles that we have on island, just tell us a little bit about it before we get into some of the issues surrounding the turtles that we have.
Okay, well, we have 3 species of turtle nesting on our beaches in Dominica. You have the leatherback. The leatherback is not native to the Caribbean. The leatherback travel over 5,000 or 50,000 kilometers to come to Dominica to nest on our shores. So at the end of the day, we need to protect it. Then you have the hawksbill and the green are more native to Dominica. You will see them all along the coastline of our island, especially Soufriere, Scott's Head, Secret Bay. Those areas, you will find a lot of them in those areas. Then you'll also find some in Rosalie, Londonderry, Laplane, and mostly on all beaches of Dominica, you'll find the greens and the hawksbill. But the leatherbacks only goes to a particular beach, the beaches with more sand, because they cannot really stand the rigging of stones and whatever it is.
Okay, and in the hunting of turtles is banned in Dominica. What is the reason for that, and are there any plans maybe down the line to lift that restriction?
The thing is, we need to protect the species of turtles, because in 1987, 88, 89, you find a lot of turtles were being slaughtered on the beaches. Up Londonderry had about 20 turtles slaughtered maybe in one season. Laplane, Rosalie, the same thing, before we start really monitoring the process. And we approached the authorities several times to see how we can get the hunting of turtles on our island be stopped for a while. So based on that, at that time when we were fighting that battle, the law was $500 for slaughtering a turtle. Now, if you have a leatherback that goes over 2,000 pounds, killing a leatherback is a joke because you only pay $500. But then at the end of the day, right now, in the 30th of April 2021, the fine was increased to $7,500. So if they catch you with any part of turtle on the beach or at your home, anyway, $7,500 or 3 years in prison. That's from July 31st, 2021. Not July, April 30th, 2021.
Okay, thanks for that. And then, well, you made mention of sightings of turtles being killed in certain areas. You mentioned the penalties, and you mentioned one of the threats in that persons are killing the turtles. What are some of the other threats associated with the turtles on island?
Well, we have two main threats on our turtles. One is the hunting, where people just go on the beach and they slaughter turtle. And if you just go on the beach and slaughter turtle, at the end, you about 2 months ago, there was a developer going to do a project in a community. And then when they go walk in the beach, they found the shell of turtles on the beach. And the developer actually put out how I'd call it, a reward of $1,000 anybody leading to information on that. Now, if you have visitors coming on the beach and you're killing turtles, then the developer will have a different idea of what to really do. Now, the other problem we have faced on the beach with turtle is garbage. People throw plastics and whatever onto the beach. Now, when the turtles see the current take the plastics and the whatever and go out into the sea, the turtles see it floating and it looks just like jellyfish in the water. Then you find the turtles would actually eat those plastic, and then it would plug up their system, and eventually they would die. You would meet them floating somewhere about in the sea or on the beach. And when you cut them, you will see all the plastic plug up the entire system. So we calling on the public to assist us in protecting the turtles from the hunting, 2, from throwing garbage onto the beach.
Okay, and then in that instance with the turtles, are the forestry officers allowed to arrest persons as well, or is that something that has to be done by the Commonwealth of Dominica Police Force?
No, well, the turtles are protected under the Forestry, Wildlife and Parks Division Act. And the Forestry Division have the right to arrest, to search and to arrest. Just obtain a warrant if it is at your private home, but if they meet you on the beach or anywhere, they can actually hold you and put you before the court. Now, the days when it was $400, it's over. It's $7,500, and we wish it could be plenty more than that, because there are pictures circulating where you see people killing the turtle onto the beach with their cutlasses and whatever it is, and you have the tourists are visiting Dominica removing the pictures, and that's a very bad image on us. If we cannot see the animals that are protected onto the beach and leave them, let them nest peacefully, and then they go back. Because every year, especially the leatherback are declining. Whereas Trinidad having 150 leatherbacks on the beach one night. Sometimes we have maybe one at Londonderry, one at Rosalie, one at Laplane. Because these are the 3 main beaches that the leatherbacks actually nest. And the leatherbacks would nest from March to, we observe over the past 2 years that they have been coming because of I guess, the climate. They come in from February, anywhere around the 20th of February to August, you find the leatherback nesting. Whereas the hawksbill and the green nest from July to December, or like now.
Okay, and I'm sure that DOMSETCO has a relationship with some of these communities that you mentioned. What assistance does the communities in some of those areas that you mentioned provide to your organization as it relates to the protection of turtles?
Okay, we work with youth groups, we work with councils, we work with hotels and whatever and other organizations in those communities. And you have places like Layu, places like Rosalie, Laplane, and Londonderry. And right now you have Secret Bay that actually just came on board 2 years ago. We go out in those communities and we do training to those organizations in those communities. We do training with the hotel staff And places like Secret Bay and Rosalie Bay, right now they can make a living out of turtle watching on the beach. Because when the turtle nesting, the people love to see the turtle nesting. And when the hatchlings are actually being released from the nest to go back to the ocean, it's a pleasure to go out there and see the little ones struggling to go back to the seas. Now with the leatherback, after they nest, it takes between 65 to 70 days for them to hatch. And they go back to the sea. 25 years from there, you find the leatherbacks would return to most time the same beaches that they actually nest. The hawksbill and the greens actually native around, so they move around looking for the seagrass, the jellyfish and the other things to eat. So they would go from coast to coast. But most times you find those there are actually more stable in their communities. And you find places like Sophia Scott said, where they're doing diving, that people actually going out there just to look at the turtles nesting in those areas. And sometimes it's very sad to see when you have visitors onto the beach. You mightn't see it, but they're looking for all any things that really show up. And they would come up with and ask you, well, why are these turtle shells onto the beach? You know, why are people still selling turtle meat? You know, those things are really harmful to our tourism development, because people actually leaving places like America, Canada, and wherever it is, to come to places like Trinidad and Dominica just to see turtles nest onto the beach. Because a few years ago we had a documentary from BBC. They were supposed to be here this year, but unforeseen circumstances, they couldn't come, but they will be here sometime next year. And it's to do a documentary. Now it would be unfair to us in Dominica to have people onto the beach, and then you have people going up and down on the beach with cutlasses and bags and whatever it is. You know, that would scare your visitors, and that would scare your people. So we urging our public to really cease from doing that, please.
Right, well, I was just going to ask you, my next question to you would be, what would your appeal be to the general public outside of some of those communities? Because you just made mention BBC, which is a worldwide organization, will be coming to Dominica next year to do a documentary on turtles, and that's surely a big opportunity for us in terms of tourism and all the economic aspects and all of that. So I was just going to ask you, but you made mention of it. And just in terms of turtles, I see Mr. Eugene wants to make a point. In terms of turtles, and any one of you can answer that, do you think that the turtle industry can be a huge economic turner for us in Dominica?
Yes, I believe so. Because places like Trinidad, we have been to Trinidad, we have sent community persons to Trinidad to look at the turtles onto the beach. And there's an area they call Matura in Trinidad. And it's not a very large beach. And sometimes you're having 100 and something turtles coming up there. You're having like 300-400 visitors there at one night at 20 US per a visitor. And they stay in a hotel or whatever it is in those community, in those areas. That community would make a big fortune from just turtle watching alone. Places like Rosalie and so, people adopt a turtle. If a leatherback show up onto the beach at Rosalie for the first time, when you tag it and you releases it, somebody, as you post that, somebody adopt that turtle. And every time it comes to the beach to nest, people really, the same persons would continue to adopt the turtle until, well, it no longer comes. Because they usually nest on the beach, the leatherback, for between 9-10 times for the season. If nobody kills them, they really show up on different beach, but mostly Rosalie, Lapland, and Londonderry. You would find leatherbacks showing up there to nest because of the black sand in those areas, the volcanic beaches. Those areas are the black sand beaches. And even at Woodford Hill, you would find the leatherback nesting there. Now, whereas the greens and the hawksbill can nest on any beaches with rugged condition. The leatherbacks cannot do that. So the public, especially Layu, Sophia Scott said, Rosalie, Laplin and Londonderry, they really assist us in protecting those statals, because we really go out there. We visit the schools to speak to the children, because anything you're doing, you must involve the children, because the children can go out there and bring out the message you want to bring across. Then we would go to the youth groups and they would bring out the message as well. And I must say, it's not everybody in those communities are really killing turtles. It's just a handful of persons. You know, 1 or 2 persons within the community. They might selling it outside of the community. So it's not a whole heap of persons. It's 1 or 2 persons are really doing it. You know, so we just urging the public to assist us, because Domsetco cannot do it on themselves alone. Forestry cannot do it by themselves alone. Yes, Domsetco receive a permit from government every year from the Forestry Division to be on the beach to conduct research. After we do the research, we have to submit a report to Forestry at the end of every every turtle season. We must prepare a report and submit it. And then we have donors from overseas that really assist us in paying staff. We have about 35 staff on different beaches around Dominica. We try to cover as much beaches as possible. So at the end of the day, if we continue killing turtles, sooner or later those funds can be dried up and people will say we are not interested anymore. So we just urging the public to cease from that. Please, and if you know of anybody of doing that, you can report the matter to the Forestry Division, you can report the matter to the police. That is what we can advise people to say.
Okay, Mr. Eugene, you had a point to make?
In respect to what Mr. Charles was just insinuating earlier on, in support to him, is a collaboration between fisheries, forestry, and also Domsetco. But the thing about that is, while these three entities have the big stick, the power to deal with that situation, I think the public is the one that should be playing a very critical role in that. Because even though you have the power to arrest and you don't see the man that killing the turtle, you can take action against him. But if the public is involved in it, now the public should not look at that as something that they can gain plenty in by killing. Because really, when you kill that turtle and you eat the meat, let's say it lasts for a month, it lasts for probably 2 weeks. After that meat is consumed, it finishes, then the turtle that was coming up there to lay is no longer in existence, so it cannot lay again. So if you had a zest for turtle meat, then that means you're putting yourself at a disadvantage. So the public have to look at ways and means they can use that turtle alive to bring much more into their coffers than having it killed. Now we must also understand there is a lot of pressure on the turtles. When they come to lesson land, that doesn't mean they are safe. They are being harassed by a small section of the individual villages where they come to lay. Also, dogs also dig the nest sites. Also, iguanas and those kind of things there. So there is a lot of pressure on them. Also, we can remember somewhere in the last month or month before, there was a high concentration of Sargasso on island. And a lot of those nesting sites was out of reach for these sea creatures. I remember I went on the beach in I think it was Cassie Bruce, and I walked on Sargasso probably for 3-4 feet high. So no turtle can penetrate that to come on land to nest. Also, you have the constant sea back and forth. Today you come there is sand. Next week, sea surge, no sand. So there is a lot of pressure on these animals. So the public need to come on board to play a more critical role in conserving that natural resource rather than to destroy it. And if you continue killing the turtle, that would mean sooner or later we will only be seeing it on the television screen. And that is not going to be something that is going to augur well for us as a people. Let each and every one of us do what is necessary in order to protect that natural resource. You go by the bay, you see a man going up and down with his cutlass, talk to him. Let him know that is not in the best interest of the country. That is not even in his best interest, even though he feel he can kill it and make some money out of it. But if he is caught, he's going to go to prison, he's going to pay money, but in the long run, his children is going to be put at a disadvantage by not having that natural resource to do whatever they think that is conservationally wise with it.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Eugene, for those critical points. And so basically what the gentlemen are saying is just leave the turtles alone, let them do their business. At the end, they are sure there will be benefits that we can get from that. Time is against us, but Mr. Watty wants to make another point on that. So, Mr. Watty, can go ahead quickly.
Yes, quickly. We had the Wrigley, one of the Wrigleys. There are two Wrigleys, the Kemp Wrigley and the Olive Wrigleys, nesting in Dominica in the early 70s up to the early 80s. And the last one showed up on in a community at 12 o'clock in the day. And a guy went there and he slaughtered it. And from that day to now, they are all over in the ocean. But they're not coming to Dominica because that was the last female that was actually alive. So if we continue killing, we wouldn't have any more turtle for us to see or eat onto the beach.
All right, thank you very much for that. As we said, time is really against us, so we're trying to go through the points that we have quick. Dominica is a nature isle. Josh, you had something to say?
Just for a clarification, Mr. Burton, the director of forestry, actually told me that for the export permits, they have made special provisions at the ANC ports where they will work together with plant quarantine, and a forestry officer will be there. So instead of having to come to the office to get the permits, you can get the permits at the various ports, the airports and the seaports, through a collaboration with plant quarantine and forestry. So the quarantine will handle and process the payments, and the forestry officers will be there to approve the permits. So just for clarification, because I mentioned before that we had to come to the office for the permits. Yeah.
Good strides being made there. So, I was about to ask in terms that Dominica is, as we all know, branded a nature island. Where does hunting fit into that in terms of the ecosystem and the nature isle?
Well, really, a well-controlled hunting policy is going to be very critical to our nature island, because there are a lot of people sometimes who come on island and they don't want to see people, because wherever they come from, there are people there. So they don't want to see people. But they come to see some of the native species that we have. I remember some years ago, we had some visitors from another Caribbean island. And when they come in Dominica, everybody was mad because the only thing that was on their mind was they want to eat mountain chicken. And that had us in a kind of well-elevated sphere in our country. Now, when such people come there, a lot of other people benefit. You have the taxi operators, they benefit. You have the hoteliers, they benefit. And all that make Dominica all that is part and parcel of what makes Dominica the nature island that it is. We have the Cicero, we have the Jaco, we have the other wildlife that some nature lovers come here to see. Sometimes we stay in Dominica and we look at our television screen and we see some exotic animals in other countries. And so too, when they stay in their country and they look at Dominica, they see some animals they wish they could come there to see. And that puts us in a position, as Mr. Watty was saying earlier on, that if we lose that, then we don't have nothing really ready to show.
Right, so okay, you just said if we lose some of that in terms of the population of the species will be very, very small. Now, a few weeks ago we had a heads meeting, and one of the members, when he heard that the hunting season was going to be opened, I think it had opened the day before, he was very happy because he was saying that at least we're not going to see so many manicous on the street, because he was saying wherever he lives, it's like almost every day he's seeing a large population of mannequins on the street. Now, we spoke about climate change, and we all know the effects of climate change. From where we were, let's say, post Maria, immediately after Maria to now, what impacts or effects do you think that climate change has on our species that are being hunted?
Well, in all respects, it is having a negative impact on them. In terms of the habitat loss, that is something that is really working against our wildlife population. Because when you have the trees being blown away, these are some of the foraging material they use in order to forage on, so that they can reproduce. So when you have trees after trees and probably certain shrubs and other things that they would depend on is being blown away, then the population will eventually be impacted on negatively. Nesting sites is another one that is also going to be affected as well. So in terms of the climatic condition, it is not working too well in our favor against our wildlife population.
Yes, and just to add to that too, with everything there's a balance in the ecosystem. So as we know now, agoutis and manacles are a huge problem in terms of crop depredation, which there are other factors that that contribute to that issue. But part of the balancing it is through the hunting season and the open season, where people can cut down on the population of the animals that are causing issues in agriculture. A lot of people are complaining that with crop depredation issues, that agoutis are eating their crops before their crops. Sometimes some people just planted a full field of root crops and cabbage too, and before they have time to reap that benefit, the agouti will run through the field, you know. So all of that is part of the balance. So yes, we are the nature island, but we still allow hunting because it's part of our culture. It's part of balancing the ecosystem in that way and that aspect.
But let me quickly say in terms of hunting, conservation work is everybody's business. Not because you have a hunting license, you should go there and everything you see, you should take it. You hunt with a conscience.
That's a very good point, because what I was going to ask you, and I also have a message that I have from somebody offline that I will make mention after. DBS apologies for that. I'm sure we just crossed the 12 o'clock hour, which we're due to stop, but we should be wrapping up shortly. You just said not everything you see that you have to hunt.
Yes.
I'm thinking here in terms of the pregnant animals. What, even if they are allowed to be hunted, the pregnant agouti and the pregnant manicouth, one, what advice do you have there, and how do you identify or be certain that one of these species allowed are pregnant?
Well. Again, that's why the law states that you should not hunt after 6 in the night, and you should not hunt before 6 in the morning. Now, the visibility is very important. Whenever you hunt, not just the pregnant agouti, but also the size of the animal. You should be able to see the animal that you are hunting, because in terms of the agouti, you have to use a gun, and we know gun doesn't forgive. Whenever you discharge that weapon, whatever it is that you point it against, it's going to kill it. So it's important that you check the animal out. If you see the animal is looking oversized, chances are that animal is pregnant. So don't shoot it. If you see the animal is looking too small, allow the animal chance to grow. Allow the animal to, because it's going to affect you tomorrow. Because if you catch everything you see today, if you shoot everything you see today, tomorrow the population is going to be wiped out. Because as I say, there are so many other things that they have to contend with, which does not work too much in their favor. So we now, as the hunter, we as the conservation people, have to put measures in place. And you also, when you go out there, do your part. Look at the crab. If the crabs have eggs, don't take it. Let it go. Allow it to go and spawn, so that tomorrow the population, because right now places people used to go and hunt before, catching crab, catching manico, whatever the case may be, they are saying that the population is decreasing. So don't take everything you see, but hunt with a balance. While we do not check your bag to see how many you have, but if you go there, you catch a dozen crab and satisfy, catch for a good sea and satisfy, because there is a tomorrow.
Mr. Watty, I just have some information here that you guys may be interested in the Lubia area. It just came to light that there is a possible sighting of a turtle attempting to nest or may have laid some eggs, because they're seeing the turtle tracks as well as some holes. But there's also a dog in the vicinity. So that may be an area, the Lubia Beach, close to Paradise Pit, just where the new hotel is being, a little high up from where the Lale Coco.
Yeah, we have a officer. We have somebody on the beach up there.
Okay, so
We have
just that
somebody there. So
information.
it's just a matter of calling him to really check it out. Yeah, because we also face that problem with dogs, stray dogs onto the beaches there as well. So now we have to build cages and so to secure the nests onto the beaches.
Okay, Mr. Eugene, I have a message from offline. I won't say who it's coming from, but what the person told me is that they are aware of forestry officers who are eating turtles.
They are aware of?
Forestry officers who are eating turtles. So I don't know who's going to respond to that, or what do you have to say. But this is, you may not know who they are, but they're saying that they are aware of forest officers who are supposed to be those protecting and conserving, but they are eating turtles.
Well, for sure, I can make a declaration. It's not me.
And neither myself.
And secondly, if that person have such information, they know where the Forestry and Wildlife Division is. Bring that information to us, and then we'll deal with it.
2665856.
All right, gentlemen, on that note, I think we can end the program today, and we have gone past the time that we allotted. Very interesting program. I just want to give you free the opportunity to say your final words as we wrap up this program today.
Yeah, really, with the hunting season, as we said earlier on, that is up now, you have the opportunity now to obtain your license and try not to get yourself entangled with the law, because it can come at a disadvantage to you. If you are being caught hunting without your license, you are liable of being fined at $5,000 and spend 3 weeks in jail. And I was about to make that little adjustment with respect to the export permit, but the director interjected there, and he brought it out, because you will be able to get that in Portsmouth, you'll be able to get it in Marigot and in Charles Douglas Airport. I brought the information last week to them. So we are hoping that everybody would have a safe hunting season this season there, and enjoy whatever it is that you catch when you go.
Yes, I would just ask the hunters to use their discretion. It's not because, as you say, you have your permit, you should take the whole world of agouti and crab and everything. I'd like everybody to use their discretion while hunting and practice safe hunting practices, so we'll have wildlife for future generations to benefit from.
Okay, I just want to say thank you to the public and especially the guest house, the hotels and so on that are assisting us, the youth groups and everybody. Help us and continue to help us, support us to protect our sea turtles that come on our shore to nest, because they are only coming on to do one thing, and it's just to nest and then to go back to the ocean to present themselves in the ocean.
All right, gentlemen, thank you very much for joining me on this week's program. Very interesting topic that we discussed. Next week, God willing, well, before I do that, I just want to say, big up to the teams, NEP, Solid Waste, the Roseau City Council, for some of the work that has started. You will have more information as we have the Solid Waste Management Corporation next week on the program, as we discuss some of the innovations that will happen for the independent season, as well as how we should practice proper waste and our disposal. So thank you very much, everybody, for listening. Thank you very much, DBS, for allowing us the extra time. Have a good Thursday, and see you next week on this program, Talking Environment, which is our responsibility. Goodbye, and enjoy the rest of your day.